What's going on, Rowdy Reptiles? It's your boy Patrick Young here for another episode of The Young and the Rowdies. Again, thank you guys so much for all the support. Week in and week out, it's been a pleasure and an honor for me to be a part of this awesome project, I would say. Thank you so much to the media, the Field of 68 Media Network that has again made this possible. Don't forget to subscribe and share on any and every platform that you're listening in on this podcast. Give us some feedback. Let me know what I can do better, who you're trying to get on the show, any questions you have for the upcoming guests. But anyways, this week we're doing something a little bit different. I got my good friend, the guru, Jeff Goodman. We're going to talk some Florida basketball after winning 4 straight and having a nice gritty win on the road against a really tough West Virginia team that's, really well known for its defense. The Gators struggled last night. So, Jeff, what'd you see last night?
They had won 4 straight. I started to feel good about them. I think everybody did, right? Everybody started to feel like, wow. And I think everybody is rooting for this Florida team because of Keontae, right? And everybody wants this Florida team now. They latch on to him. It would be a great story if the Gators end up getting in the tournament and making some noise. South Carolina isn't very good. I mean, I don't know if they look past them, Patrick, because they have won 4 straight and they're starting to feel themselves. Their margin for error just isn't that great without Keontae. It isn't. And Scotty Lewis right now looks like somebody who came back from COVID. He does. I mean, he doesn't have the energy, it feels like. He's got to be more assertive on the offensive end. I've been saying this all year, and occasionally you'll see it from him. But I feel like if I'm Mike White, it's make a mistake. It's fine. Shoot the basketball. Be aggressive. Be assertive. He is so good in the open court. Now, again, the big question for Scotty is still his shot, his decision-making in the half court. But, man, like if you don't utilize him in the open court, to me, you're missing out on something. But again, he doesn't look like himself yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure are you sure that they concluded that he did have COVID? I know he had a illness, but definitely does not look like himself at the moment. Again, tough loss. I'm not necessarily sure. I just think the guys didn't show up. I think that it was definitely a trap game where you're starting to feel good. You're starting to find a rhythm. You come off a game that means a lot, a game that's going to mean big things coming down the end of the season as far as getting into the tournament. And then, we got this unranked losing record South Carolina team that comes in, they're undersized. And then they beat us on the boards, 43-35, out rebounded. Started the game off extremely slow and took a little bit of a lead going, starting that second half, but just the shooting wasn't there. I think Coach White definitely has to do a better job of getting us some shooters. Having only Noah Locke, which he is a phenomenal shooter, he doesn't do too much else great as far as getting to the basket or creating his own shot. Don't get me wrong, his strength is very strong of being able to shoot it, but he was 6 of 16 on the night. And just overall, the last 5 minutes of that game, I think they had 1 point where they went the last 205 scoreless. That's just something that can't happen. But you can't allow yourself to get into that situation. You can't allow a team to come into your place and lack that energy and be down 10 points to start the game off. That's something that just can't happen.
And I know it's hard these days, right? I mean, you've got with everything going on, it's hard for these kids, and you try to make excuses as much as you can for these kids and what they're going through, testing, whether it's every day or 3 times a week. And, you're not allowed to do some of the things. I mean, you can't, some of these guys can't even eat with their teammates. I mean, can't even eat, which is so ridiculous because we know what's happening in the locker room. Like out on the court, they're all spaced out. And then when they go in the locker room, and I've been in these locker rooms, I was there at Mohegan Sun back in November, they're on top of each other. I mean, it's the same without masks on. So it's like all for perception. It's all for perception. That's what it is. But I do think, again, the key for this season, as much as anything, is really being able to engage with these players and figure out ways to push buttons. And I love Florida's staff. I do. I love all those guys. I think they're as high character guys as you can get. But I think that's ultimately they're going to be their biggest shot because they have enough talent to make the NCAA tournament for sure, even without Keontae. But to me, again, it's are you pushing the right buttons to get these guys to play hard? To me, whoever's playing harder this year is more important than ever. And it was important when you played. Forget a pandemic. It was always important. The team that played harder generally had the better, unless you were going up against a team that was just super talented. But there's not a huge disparity between the talent in the SEC this year. There's not. There's no great team. I mean, Alabama looks really good, and they're talented, and they're older and everything. But, like, most of these teams, you could throw in a hat. LSU's talent, who I think they have next, LSU's talent's probably better than Florida's, but they can't guard a tree. Like, you got to guard. Like, that's the thing. You got to – in this game coming up, you can't be soft. You've got to be tough as crap, and you got to bring it to, like you said, do what you didn't do against South Carolina. You better bring it to LSU right away and absolutely jump out on them right away.
Out of reach right now. That loss definitely did not help. I think Alabama, last I checked, was 9-0 in conference play. Pretty difficult to try to catch those guys right now, dropping a game as such. But I want to ask your opinion on this because me being a Jacksonville guy, I'm able to Jacksonville has definitely done a great job of picking up its talent level as far as basketball. Coach Jim Martin is doing a fantastic job along with other programs here. Alex Fudge decided to leave college early or high school early and join LSU, forego his senior year of basketball. And for me, I was like, I get it, but you're not going to play. If you were leaving to go and play, why forego, finish what you started, finish, you let your guys down. They actually had a really good shot of winning a state championship, and he's, phenomenal kid. Why would you want to give up that opportunity to continue to be a kid, to still be a kid in that high school level, and then you're not going to miss any of the preparation. You want to step into the COVID protocols and all this stuff.
Right.
Like, why is that appealing to, what's your take
Patric,
on?
The only way you're doing that to me is if your high school season is canceled, right? That's the only way you would say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to college anyway. I'm doing my whole season remote, my year, and our season's canceled. Then if you want to enroll early, I'm all for it at that point. You might as well, get adjusted. But you're not even getting adjusted to college. I mean, honestly, this year's not really college for most. So you're going to go there and like you said, you've got all the COVID protocols anyway. The only thing you're getting a chance to be around your teammates, the coaches, obviously, strength coach. That'll be important for Alex probably. But ultimately, enjoy your senior season with your friends.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing that, especially being a top recruited guy and then coming out of Providence and just being like, well, guys, we got this great record and a shot, but Coach Donovan wants me to come early, so I'm going to come and just train and practice and not play. And I'm like, man, this kid better be one and done. I'm like, he better be one and done, because I would just feel so much regret as far as letting my high school guys down. That's, you don't get an opportunity to do that.
And your buddies, just hanging with your buddies and graduating with your boys. Like, it just, again, I think football has ruined it to some degree, Pat. I think football, they do it all the time now. So now with basketball, they're starting to do it. And honestly, you're seeing most of these kids that reclassify. Devin Askew at Kentucky. Primo's been pretty good at Alabama, but most of them aren't ready. They're not ready to play. Villanova just had one do the same thing this year. But I think, if I'm correct, I think his senior season was scrapped up in the Northeast. So it's a little bit different.
Right.
Hey, I want to hit you with something. So, because I don't know if you've talked about this in your pod or not, your career right now. And I want to hit you with a couple questions of, like, all the places you've been. All right.
Okay.
You've been to a bunch of places. I love traveling overseas. I love it. Like, this is killing me last summer that we couldn't go anywhere. My wife and daughter, we've done Italy a couple times. We've done Greece. Spain, you name it. And I love it. I love it. What's your favorite place that you've been, your favorite country, your favorite city, and why?
I feel like I have to be careful because I have friends that are listening and they're like, they're overseas. So I don't want to, disappoint any Olympiacos fans or
Yep.
wherever but the best places that I've lived have to be Athens. It will be number one for sure. It's the closest thing to being similar to kind of New York. You get 4 seasons. It's a very business savvy place. There's a lot to do, especially in the nightlife. People are always out and going. It's not overly expensive. I really love the people in Greece, though. The weather there year round is awesome. The people, the food. I was there these last few months from October till December, and it was so different. I mean, I still enjoyed it, but as far as being in the middle of a lockdown, that's why, I was talking to my dad last night, and he's like, what are you planning on doing with your basketball career? I'm still keeping the door open, but I'm like, I have no interest in going overseas and being in a lockdown.
Why would you?
What? Go home, go to the gym. Like you go over there to have the life. Like if you're going to be over there for 10 months, you got to enjoy your life too. You don't go over there just for the job.
100%.
Israel, I wish I got a chance to really see more of Israel, even though I was in the middle of nowhere. Scotty Wilbekin and Casey Prather are over there in Israel right now. But they're in a lockdown. They're in a lockdown right now, as you can imagine. But I don't know. I hope one day I can go overseas to Europe and just enjoy it and it not be for work.
How is Turkey, Pat? How is Turkey?
So fortunately, I got to go to Turkey before, they had that coup and before Erdogan got that new whatever pass that allowed him to not be a dictator, but, be a dictator. But, so I got an opportunity. It was my first experience going overseas after I got cut from New Orleans. 7-hour drive from New Orleans to Jacksonville, all my stuff in my Honda Accord on my parents. What am I going to do? You got this opportunity to, $200,000 to go play in Turkey, or you go to the G League.
Yep.
And we're like, you know what? G League is awesome, but let's get some guaranteed money. So because the struggle in the G League is real, man. They're not making much money.
At that point, it was like $25,000 a year.
It was $25,000 a year. I think there's only 2 players making that. Riding the bus, not great living situation. Right. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the jump and just do something crazy.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this. I 2 days later after getting cut, I was on the flight, went over to Turkey. Didn't realize traffic was that bad. After I landed, going through the airport through customs, maybe that was an hour or 2 hours to get to the bus or to the hospital in traffic, 6 hours in the hospital through the medical testing. Wow. Get to the hotel that night, one thing I knew about Turkey was that, they're Muslim, so they pray 5 times a day. And I was like, I really respected that, me being a guy of faith, that they really take priority in that. But I had no idea it was played on the megaphones, 5 times a day.
No.
So when the first prayer came on at 5:30 in the morning, so loud, like in my hotel, I thought somebody broke in and was trying to kill me. So going through all of that, they asked me to play the next day. We had shoot around. We had, the plays were very simple, but it's like, dude, I got like 2 hours of sleep. You want me to play? I got 0 points and 1 rebound that first game. And I'm like, man, these fans probably are going to like hate me after this first game. Like, what did they, what kind of player did they just get? And fortunately, I got some rest the next day, had a really good game. And for me, the rest was history. But I really did enjoy Turkey. Just, I hated that traffic, man. It was crazy. Like, it would take you 2 hours to go 10 miles. But yeah, it was a good opportunity there. Awesome. Wouldn't replace it.
All right. So you played with Brad Beal for a year?
1 year. Yep. Right, 2011-12 season.
It's funny, when Beal was drafted, he was drafted behind Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Isn't that crazy?
And I remember telling Kentucky fans, because I tweeted it out, I'm like, this is bananas. Like, Brad Beal is going to be a great pro. I mean, he knew how to play. He had the size. Now he didn't, if I remember correctly, he didn't shoot it well in college,
no.
right? From three,
He shot it fantastic in high school, fantastic shooter. But he struggled. He struggled a lot for early on in college. He didn't really break out into the tournament, which is a great time to break out and show people what you can do.
What's your favorite Brad Beal story playing with him? Because he was kind of a chill dude to me when I dealt with him. Are you surprised? Go with your favorite Brad Beal story first.
Okay. Brad was pretty chill guy. He just came in with his hard hat on. Like I don't know if he necessarily knew from the beginning that he was going to go one and done. I think it was a really tough decision for him to decide to leave after probably speaking with Coach Donovan and others. But I remember when Brad came back after he got drafted and he came back to college to work out with us and the guys, and goodness gracious, the NBA did from, not saying that he was struggling, but, as far as his level to the rest of the guys, the guards that we had at the time, it wasn't too far off when he was in college. Everyone was competitive, but he came in that year after, he was dunking on everybody. Nobody could stop him. I'm like, yo.
What happened?
I was like, Brad, why didn't we get that last year, bro? Come on, man. We would have for sure beat Louisville if we had that. But yeah, man, I just really hope the best for him and that the situation, it's a guy that's doing what he loves, struggles so much with winning.
Yeah.
And I hope somehow in his career that can turn around.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the thing with these days is if you don't like where you're at, and you've got leverage, which players do in the NBA, you just say, I don't want to be here anymore. And eventually they're going to move you. And I think, it'll be interesting to see if that's where it gets to. Right now it's him and Russell Westbrook instead of him and John Wall. And there's a little bit of a novelty, but ultimately, and I love their GM, Tommy Shepard. I've known him for forever. Great dude, works hard. He'll try to get talent there, but
right.
Again, you're hamstrung a little bit with the contracts and everything like that. And
isn't that a double on top? These guys, you got to get paid, and then it's almost like shooting yourself in the foot because you want to get maxed out.
Right.
And you deserve that money. Don't get me wrong. Like that's the way that it works in the NBA. You're a superstar, get superstar money, but it cripples you when it comes to building a team and to compete. And, I saw the stat the other day. I think they're like 0-10 when he scores 40 or more points.
Wow.
Something ridiculous like that. I was like, wow.
So I got another, you got to get me, I need a good, I've known Eric Murphy since he was like 14. All right. Like, I think I was the first one to ever write a word about Eric Murphy. Saw him when he was at St. Mark's. I know all three of the Murphy brothers well. And you got to give me something good on Murph. And we got to get Murph on the pod at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I wish you would have given me a heads up on Murph because my brain just goes, I think about Murph. There's so much. I had 3 years with Eric Murphy. We lived together for 2. We lived together my sophomore and junior year. We lived together.
What was he like? What was he like to live with?
Oh, he was so chill, man. Eric was so chill. He just stayed in his room. He didn't really do much there. At the same time, I think we both watched How I Met Your Mother when that was coming out as well. Gosh, my favorite Eric Murphy story. I remember one practice, Eric, he didn't come in with like a great attitude. Not say great attitude, just one of those days where you're just like, just trying to go through the motions. And I was, I was ready to go that practice, and I dove for a loose ball in practice, and he was just trying to pull a little Cam Newton. The ball's loose, didn't really try to dive on it or get it. So I didn't on purpose, but I like hit his ankle. And he came up hobbling a little bit, and Coach Donovan was, got after him. Just like, if you would have came here ready to practice today, you wouldn't be hurting right now. Just one of those things. But, Murph was a warrior. I loved playing with that guy. I think it was tough for him to find his role early on as being a non-athletic. What I love about Eric is that he is so brutally honest with himself about not being athletic.
Yes.
Just like because he and I last summer, or not last summer, January, February, we were doing rehab together at OSMI. It's a physical therapy place in Gainesville. And our physical therapist was always like, yeah, man, you as an explosive athlete, you should be able to do that. He's like, yo, I am not explosive. This is about as high as I could jump before I got hurt. So like, I'm pretty much close to like being ready to play. Just the way that he says stuff, man, I love that guy to death. And just so happy to see he's playing ball again, because he had some hip issues as well. And but him and his family, they're fantastic. I love those people.
All right, so going back to the Gators, we'll finish with the Gators here. What do they have to do, Pat? What do they need? What's the one thing when you watch them that you say, hey, this is what they need to happen for them to be a team that not just gets in the tournament? Because let's face it, Gators fans, they're fine. Okay, you get in the tournament, that's one thing, but they want to advance. Like, they're not happy with just sneaking in as like a 12 seed. They want to advance and be a team that's in the hunt. What has to happen?
The Gators basketball just announced that Keontae Johnson's condition, or what happened back in December 12th, was not due to COVID, that he will continue to be a part of what he's been doing with the team, is coaching and being around, and hopefully he's going to be a voice for his upcoming future. Still a lot of questions. Can he still play, et cetera, et cetera. I can all see that void of him not being there, that the team is missing. It has been awesome seeing Trey Mann come out of nowhere. Not say come out of nowhere, but it's just awesome to see how 1 year of difference can, and that's what you want to see happen with these guys. They come to college, they get better, they improve, and then you hope that they can go on to the NBA and do the same. But as of right now, Jeff, it's tough to be a consistently great team, especially in this time. It's going to take a lot of mental fortitude. I think, as you said earlier, this coaching staff, I got a chance to be around them. They do a fantastic job of just being so encouraging and pushing these guys, holding them accountable. They make them, whenever they get upset, they make the guys drop and do quick 5 push-ups. But they somewhere in what they're doing, they have to stay, that has to come every game. Whether it's going to be Colin Castleton and Omar bringing that consistency, they can't get out rebounded by an undersized team. Their up and down press defense, whatever their identity is, that has to be something that they're bringing consistently. And you can't have that. You can't, as the great Billy Donovan would say, human nature. You can't allow drop the H, human nature. You can't allow human nature to bite in and get you away from doing what your identity is. So I'm not exactly sure what that one thing is. I know Coach White is pushing those guys every day. They're facing so much adversity with everything that's going on as far as health, just dealing with COVID. Life outside of the court's not the same. Just got to push through. Life is hard. Life isn't fair. You got to just grit down, control what you can control, and push forward. And hopefully they can figure that out. Can't drop anymore. They can drop some more, but not any big ones. We got to make this tournament. We got to.
Well, you got to make the tournament, and you better avoid the 8-9 game, because the last thing you want to see in the second game is Gonzaga or Baylor. Like, those are the two teams you don't want to see at any cost. Like, just avoid them. And to be honest, you look around and you're like, okay, whether Villanova was the number 3 team in the country, they just lost to St. John's at home. Now, they had a 27-day layoff not that long ago, so I don't think they're back to what they were. Actually, that's a good question for you. Okay, so because you've had injuries, if you're out for 2 weeks, if you're out for 14 days, Pat, and you can't really do much, maybe you can do some 1-0 stuff, but you can't practice. How long do you think it takes before you get back to 100%?
What type of injury, or as far as,
let's say it's just COVID. Let's say it's not an injury. It's just literally you're kind of not necessarily. Some schools are locking their kids in their rooms and they can't do anything.
Right.
Other schools, you're able to go and work out 1-0, maybe
Right.
with one assistant coach rebounding
Right.
for you or whatever.
Well, I got a chance. It's great that you mentioned that, to actually talk to Anthony DeRuggi, that's with the Gators right now. He had COVID earlier and started coming back into the season, and he was like, "Bro, it's unbelievable that your wind is completely different." And I had COVID myself, and I know, like, even after I passed through the symptoms, that shortness of breath and that conditioning is something that really is gone. Let alone basketball timing. A lot of these guys probably are not necessarily touching the ball when they're out.
Yep.
So, and in the middle of the season, you're just jumping in the mental. If you can actually even find your rhythm in the middle of the season, it might take some time. After being out with COVID,
You
not
believe every
playing.
day off is you need one day back to get, like, if you're off for 14, you need 14 days before you're back to 100%. Does that sound right or no?
I think that sounds, in theory, it sounds like it could work out. But as we see with COVID, it is affecting everybody so differently. I would like that to be the case, but that's tough. That's a tough one, Jeff. I'm not sure. It could take a month for these guys to find that. It could take a month for somebody to find their rhythm.
Yeah, I do think it's different. I do think the other thing for Florida fans to understand is, again, other than Gonzaga and Baylor, and I started to say this a minute ago, there's not too many teams that can't be beaten on a given night, whether it's Iowa, whether it's Villanova. We saw Houston lose last night to East Carolina. I mean, East Carolina, they stink.
Wow.
Now, part of it is, again, the mental part, right? The mental part of all this is really important. And that's where, to me, if you're Florida, if you're Mike White and the staff, you're working on that as much as anything else. Because you've got talent on this team. Even without Keontae, they've got talent. They got to get Scotty back to being Scotty, in my opinion.
Yeah, they definitely need him to step up some kind of way. We're not exactly sure what he's feeling coming back from that illness, but definitely the mental part right now, you got to make it fun for these guys too, because they are for sure pushing through as best they can. They're 18 to 22-year-old kids trying to enjoy this game and their college experience, and they're not getting to really enjoy the other parts of being in college as you normally would. So that's definitely wearing and tearing on these guys. So we got to give these guys some slack as far as stepping in and not necessarily always being there, or maybe experiencing COVID fatigue in a different way. I'm not having to stay in my dorm room and this and that and wear a mask everywhere, wear a mask on the sideline. That's right. We're, like you just said, we just beat West Virginia and we're celebrating, we're hugging each other, we're throwing water on each other, we're screaming and hugging, and then we got to sit spaced out on the bench and mask on. I don't get it. It's all, like you said, perception.
It's all for show. It's all for show. Well, listen, hey, continue to do a great job. I'm so glad we brought you on, because it's funny. And for people that don't know this, Pat had to pretty much convince me that he could pull this off overseas. I was very reluctant to bring you on because I was just like, it's hard with the time change, and
right.
You were hurt at the time, so it was a little bit easier from that perspective. But man, you have crushed it. I know I've told you this off camera, but I'll tell you this on camera too. You have a very, 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 very bright future in this business. And whenever you choose to end your playing career, and I hope it's on your own terms,
right?
You'll be great at this. You already are. So I appreciate you having me on and continuing to do this. And I hope it's been fun for you. I hope it's been fun for everybody that listens and watches you. And I know down the stretch here, you're going to have some good guests on. We're trying to get Chandler Parsons. Chandler's still kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern right now. We will get him at some point.
We will get Chandler.
We
will get Chandler. Yeah, it's been an honor, man. I didn't know exactly what to expect, but just I remember exactly where I was at when we made that phone call. I was in Greece at a little outside restaurant. And then when we had the call, I stepped out. So we started talking about it. And then my brain just started like putting together how big the podcast can get and where it was going. And it's been awesome, man. It's been above my expectations. I'm thankful that getting this chance to connect with you and follow your shoes, and who knows where it can go. But yeah, thank you again.
You got it, my man. We'll talk soon.
That was Jeff Goodman, my good friend covering college basketball. If you need to know anything that's going on in the sports world, you can always trust his opinion. He knows what's going on better than just about anyone else in the game. So grateful to have him on as my guest of The Young and the Rowdies. Please share and subscribe. Next week, we will get back to our regularly scheduled program, trying to get Casey Prather, Adrian Moss, and Kerry Blackshear Jr. on here soon. But anyways, thank you guys so much. Please remember to subscribe and share. Gator Nation, stay rowdy.